35 years ago, the victim rights law came into being, and that has been critically important to making sure that victims have a voice, have an opportunity to be present and to be heard.
My sister was a victim of a domestic violence homicide in 2009, and the defendant's family was there in the courtroom. It felt really important to us to be there to represent her.
Victims obviously span the spectrum, but they all deserve a seat at the table when it comes to the process of criminal justice. Whether it's by restitution, whether it's having their voice heard, whether it's being participatory in the process of how their victimization is factored into criminal justice.
Having the rights to be informed, kind of somebody laying out the foundation each and every time that you were there on what to expect, what my rights were, what I was going to be getting out of the process and what I wasn't going to be able to get out of the process was really instrumental.
Victims of crime are the only parties in the court system who were really ensnared and didn't want to be there.
The advocate that was associated with our case was there to help us navigate every nuance of that process. I mean, she was really the means by which we came to have a voice, to have a say, and to be informed during every step of the criminal proceedings.
You're not really doing justice until you listen to and you hear from and you account for the victim in these crimes.
Some big milestones that you can point to are the 1984 Victims of Crime Act, the 1994 Violence Against Women Act.
I think the Victims' Rights Act being codified was a very significant sort of breakwater moment for victims' involvement in criminal court cases. You know, that was the genesis of the Victim Witness Advocate, which is a critical component of what prosecution offices do in terms of communicating with and in dealing with victims and survivors in the course of their process.
The victim impact statement and being able to be heard, especially when I was not able to be present for a majority of the trial, was really my release and my opportunity to talk to the judge. Forgetting, not having to look at my abuser from the stand, not having to really see anybody else, but really feeling like it was me and the judge.
You know, the criminal process, I think, has lost sight of victims to a large extent in where we've gone in Massachusetts. And I think it's important for MOVA to continue to stand up for victims and continue to advocate.
And so what I would like to see moving forward is for us to continue to look at ways to reform and humanize criminal justice, but to do that in a way that balances the safety and dignity and rights and experiences of victims.
Any kind of help they need, whether it's compensation, whether it's counseling, whether it's just peer support, we're there for them to make sure that the menu is as big as it can be.
That's the way we have fairness, and that's the way we recognize the dignity and the worth of every person out there.
We have a voice, and people are listening, and they want to hear what we have to say. And I just encourage victims to constantly take themselves out of their comfort zone, continue to speak, continue to put light on what it is that our needs are in the courts, so that we can continue to be heard.